Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Nerdarchist Ryan. I'm joined by
Dave.
And so we have a GM 91 from Anoob Z726, and he's saying, I have a party of combat mid-maxers, and I want to give them an interesting challenge of using a few PCs made from the PHB. So create a X-level half-elf paladin as an example, instead of picking something from the DMG or the monster manual. How many levels do you guys feel you use for substituting the challenge rating system for a character level? Everyone in the party is at level 12, and they're set for dealing as much damage as possible. So
let me start off with, God damn it, Anoob, you freaking made us work on this one.
Yeah, we had to look at books and everything's up.
Yeah. We were talking. We actually had to discuss this one out.
There was there was definitely pre-video discussion on how this works.
Maybe a little wrestling, headlocks, noogies, the whole works.
There's this involves alchemy, ornithopy, where you take out the entrails of birds to figure it out, and then eventually you maybe come up with an appropriate CR.
So what we've determined from our findings is 5th edition is actually the hardest edition to do this with.
It's kind of yeah. So it's bad radio, but yeah, it's for those listening. That was a shoulder shrug.
Yeah. So what we had to do is we had to comb through monsters and NPCs and figure it out. And I think what we came up with, the CR is actually basically 75 to 50% of the actual level.
Character level, yeah.
Because there's a couple things going on. One, none of the NPCs that are close to the classes actually get all the abilities.
Yeah.
And sometimes they substitute interesting things.
Right, yeah.
Like the Archmage. The Archmage is essentially an 18th level caster
with resistance to magical effects.
But he doesn't. Yeah, but he doesn't get the other suite of stuff that a mage typically would. But he has a higher hit die because NPCs don't follow the same rules as
medium-sized NPCs just get that D8, and whereas you would have gotten the D6, so you get the hit point bump.
So I feel like, if you're talking about a barbarian, they're going to take a huge hit on their hit points. Except
for if you're going to generate them as you would a PC, then you're going to use that D12.
Well, that's what I mean. I have to, you kind of would have to do that.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have to figure out what the XP is. And the other thing is, remember, CR isn't the determining factor for the difficulty challenge of an encounter. It's that XP budget is actually the important part.
Right.
There's a formula in the DMG. You can find the chart and the formula, and it's going to tell you what range of XP in the budget should be for your encounter. So you're going to have to ad hoc the NPC encounter, what you think it is, how many you're going to use, and then depending on how many you're going to use, that adds a modifier to your XP budget, saying this isn't how much XP they're going to get for defeating the encounter, but this is how difficult the encounter should be.
Right, if you're going to make it hard or deadly or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and here's the curious thing too, all the things from the monster manual and all the modules are kind of going to presume, and Pathfinder Adventure Paths did the same thing with this. They kind of presume you're using the standard array or you're close to that, because say if the players rolled their stats and they rolled exorbitantly well, I remember...
No, not in this edition. Monsters, they don't stat them that way.
Well, no, but a lot of them are presuming that you are going against a party of 4 to 6,
or that the
27
players,
that the players are your average stat array sort of players, because if they're combat monsters that are, say, a 40 point buy, so Pathfinder Adventure Path had this too. I was playing Kingmaker years ago, and we rolled our stats and everyone rolled exceedingly well. We played a rolling method 46 2 sets, and their standard point buy I think was a 27 or 30 point buy. I rolled a 44 point character by rolling. So we wiped the floor with combat encounters because we're all exponentially better than what it assumed.
And that problem is actually exasperated in 5th edition because of bounded accuracy, and there's...
The power curve is lower.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, somebody starting with 18 or 20 stat in this edition is substantially more sort of threatening than they would have been in a 3rd edition.
Yeah, I mean, in 5th edition, you start with a 20, you were maximum human, humanoid, demi-human potential.
Yeah, doing that thing. Whereas, because like leveling barely matters because you're starting out with a +5 or +7 right out the gate, to your primary stat or attack or whatever. So if you have, if you're a fighter attacking with a weapon, that's a +7 to hit, and then +5 to damage.
Yeah, and you can't actually raise your strength any higher except for special circumstances in the game. You've maxed out.
And magical items. Well, no, pretty much, yeah, because everything else would have actually... Like the Gauntlets of Ogre Power set you back.
Yeah, you get actually weaker. Oh my god, I feel so weak.
Yeah. So I mean, that little tributary aside, just saying that, like, for how challenging a fight is going to be is if your players are better than that. So yeah, XP budgets, we'll call them within 50 to 75% of what a PC is. Now, if your party is spec'd for dealing like raw damage to things, like say they're a lot of warrior type characters that are spec'd to just dish out damage, a barbarian is pretty substantial because he's having all the damage he's taking. And actually, if it's a bunch of like min-maxing dudes, make that barbarian a chick, Broomhilda or something like that. So this way, like, they can she can totally trot on like male power fantasy bullcrap. Like,
what if they're all girl players though?
Yeah, maybe. Well, then the inverse, I guess. But yeah, but the barbarian would clean house with somebody that's just spec to deal damage, because they're gonna outlast them in hit points. They're gonna deal substantial damage themselves.
Unless it is a barbarian.
Yeah. Oh yeah, barbarian on barbarian action. Yeah.
But yeah, barbarian on barbarian crime. It's so sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, 50 to 75%, and then you're just have to look at the numbers and gauge it. It's unfortunately 5th edition is a lot more art than science. It's very much like AD&D. You just kind of like figure it out. Yeah. But there is something to work with.
So really, too, what I would look at is just like having these the battlegrounds sort of set to be advantageous for the enemy NPCs. Like, if it's a wizard, like put them up several flights of stairs, and then they have like minions that are like roadblocks for the party.
Yeah, like a tower balcony or something.
Yeah, something like that, where they have like a couple of flights of steps to traverse to even like be able to attack, but he can clearly see the party, and maybe he's got like a half wall to duck behind.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, or even an arrow slit if you really want to be a jerk.
Yeah, and then like even if like the wizard, the spellcaster is lower level than the party, he can still wreck house because the party has to even just get to them and give them some minions to be roadblocks.
Then there is also just designing NPCs that are really kind of built to deal with whatever your players are.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing about min-maxing, right? They're good at maxing, but when you min-max, there's a min, right?
Where they took the hit.
Yeah, so you can just exploit that. And it's totally fair game, in my opinion. I know some people cry about that, like it's unfair, but you know what? Fair is a 4-letter word. We don't use those.
Yeah, I mean, because that's a 6-letter word. But that's the thing. If like 80-90% your party's awesome, like every once in a while it's like you have to call into question the things that they dumped or like ignored. You have to hit them with that, because
there's a price.
Yeah, there was a price to their combat monstery, for sure. So if they dumped wisdom, well, go and dominate that barbarian, and then now that barbarian
now they have to deal with it.
Is a liability to the party, for sure.
Well, and here from a story sense as well, it's more interesting to have heroes that have to overcome adversity. And if you don't ever provide them with that adversity, it's just not interesting.
Yeah.
In my opinion, maybe that's what your players want, but it's not just a game; it's a story. So every once in a while, you need to give it to them so that they can feel better about overcoming stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and also too, so we're talking about just sheer fighting min-maxing on min-maxing type of situation, but really the way if they've engaged with the story at all and have any backstory or whatever, really the way you mess with super powerful characters is
don't let them fight anything.
Well, you don't go after Superman or Clark Kent. You go after Lois Lane.
Yeah.
You go after Jimmy Olsen, like the NPCs that are around the characters, their friends and family or whatever. Really devious villains will hold the dagger to the throat of a loved one, and that's pretty nasty. And they're able to get away. Think of the scene in what was it, Mission Impossible 3 or whatever, with Philip Seymour Hoffman, where like he's like caught by the villain or by Tom Cruise's character is being taken away or whatever, and he's just like commonly going over like knowing where his friends and family are and like how he's going to see them killed, like, you know, he's going to arrange for them to be murdered, and like that's a chilling villain, not the person who's like screaming in your face and swinging a sword, but the person like just calmly telling you how he's going to torture
they
your
have
family.
contingency plan upon contingency plan.
Yeah.
Feels like that's a whole different GM 911, but
yeah. It warped it a little bit, but like min-maxers, like strictly the combat stuff, like might not be the best way you're actually going to get over on them.
True, yeah. Engage them in story, use other things. As far as your question, we've answered it to the best of our ability. You guys down in the comments below, maybe you have a better idea. Feel free to share them. And while you're at it, comment, like, and subscribe.
You can also check us out over on Instagram.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.